I keep thinking I'm not going to do a sermon or anything on a Sunday, and all it takes is for me to go to sleep, and when I wake up, it's just like, yeah, it hits me like a ton of bricks, and I'm just like, actually, what happened was I was going up to one of the, I was going up to one of the Reddits. It was ChatGPT, and somebody was talking about having ChatGPT come up with a joke. And they had one about Jesus. It said, "Why did Jesus not like playing hockey? Because they kept getting nailed to the board." You know, things like that. If you're a Christian, it would probably bug you. It would sound like blasphemy and all that kind of stuff. But just keep in mind that Jesus can take it. Um, that's what put him up on the cross in the first place, was people that couldn't take it themselves, and that because of their zealotry and their thinking that he was blaspheming or whatever, is what put him up on the cross. It was people's not want him not being what other people wanted him to be, and that put him on the cross. And so everybody rejected him. You see, and so the thing is that what he said and what has been all along, the whole word kind of stood by itself. It doesn't need our it doesn't need us to keep it relevant. It's relevant on its own because the words, um, people can relate to the words, and so it has a strength of its own. It doesn't need violence to maintain it. And I wrote this inside of this Reddit group because they were they asked ChatGPT to come up with a Jesus joke, and you don't risk anything with telling Jesus jokes because the Christians are not going to come out of the woodwork to kill you. They said, but you ask it to create a Muhammad joke, it will completely just not even bother. And the reason why is because what maintains Muslims, what keeps them relevant, is the amount of violence that they can inflict on people, and threats and all that kind of stuff. If Christians have to do that, then they've got it wrong. They don't understand their own religion. If anybody has to use violence to maintain their religion's relevance, they're they're fooling themselves, because it should there should be enough in the religion itself. There should be enough behind the words that the word should support it. All by itself without anybody's involvement. The word. Just imagine if the words were stored in a tomb somewhere, and somebody dug them up and saw and deciphered them, and then was changed by them. Then that that the religion produced by those words, or the respect or whatever, would come out of just that. You can probably remember Fallout. What was it? Fallout New Vegas, where they find the words of Elvis Presley, but they don't know who this guy is. They don't know his name is Elvis Presley, so they just kind of say, this man had something to say, and then there was this whole cult that was formed up around Elvis Presley, and everybody had on these pompadours and stuff. It's that kind of thing. If the words in your songs bear so much relevance, and you can relate to them and all that, then you don't need violence um, to maintain a pride or anything like that. It will stand on its own. The word will stand on its own, and so here comes this little thing. And so whenever I talk about Jesus or anything like that, I'm not really talking to everybody. I'm talking mainly to the people that have already gotten this message and are living by it or just inspired by it. The rest of the people, I'm not going to go out of the woodwork to try to maintain with them that it's you know something they need to respect or anything like that. They can take it or leave it like anything else. And it's really when it means something to you that it's worth maintaining, among that group. It's for inside the group, it's not for people outside of the group. And so whenever you talk to people, if you're spreading the message, then it's just kind of just sharing, okay? If people don't want to hear it, they can leave. You don't try to keep them there. You don't force it on them. You just say it, and they either listen to it or they don't. But if somebody says something bad about your religion, you just ignore it. It's it's its strength will be within inside of you. The strength isn't in maintaining its relevance in the world. The strength is in it, the words that are in it, and what it means to you. See, and I think I said it better than I had in this. This is probably the more stronger. It's really the kind of me kicking people's ass type paragraph. I probably shouldn't say it, but I'll point out again kind of what I was just saying. It's the Muslims, the more militant ones. Muslims will kill you if you succeed in making anything questioning Muhammad. That's because the only strength their religion has is in what they fight to protect. Otherwise, people would make fun of their religious figure. Jesus, he can take that abuse. He doesn't have an ego to maintain. Those that think you have to fight to keep theological figures powerful and respected are delusional and stupid because um, if the figures were gods, they'd not need anything of us. If they are not myths, their instruction would stand on its own without our involvement. That's why it says God is the Word and the Word was with God and so on. And everything important is in maintaining the message. If you have to fight to maintain respect of a theological figure, you're doing something wrong. Their words should have the power to demand respect on their own because people can relate to them. Otherwise, they're slowly dying away. The purpose of the Ten Commandments was to point out that you can't obey law. Nobody can, and the theocracies that are constructed with laws don't work even when well enforced. Were the Pharisees obeying the law they enforced? If you're using violence to maintain a religion's relevance in the world, your religion is weak, and you might as well just call your movement a cult maintained by zealotry. And I mean, I repeated it several times, but it's the same old message. If you have to use violence to maintain anything, even if you use Jesus' words to justify violence, it's the same thing again. You're trying to use the power of the word and people's respect of the word to justify something that the word doesn't even respect, and that is violence. And so I keep pointing out people that where it says that to give your life for others is the ultimate honor. People always assume that means being a soldier fighting, the enemy, and I mean fighting other people in order to maintain, you know, to to save people's lives, to fighting to maintain, to keep people from harm. Um, there's something there, but the thing is that at the at the base of what kept this religion around was the martyrdom, the martyrs, the people that stood up for being Christian, but were not going to kill other people to keep its the word's relevance. It was keeping the word was what made it strong, and what made them strong. And if somebody had to kill them in the process of controlling the word, then it got only stronger as a result of that, because people would see they were willing to die for that message. And in dying for that message, they were doing the greatest honor for their friends, because their friends had something that because it stood out to their friends that this person was good, and a friend to them, and they would take the message and what he lived for and make it their own. And you can see from that how the religion, how Jesus's word became stronger. It became stronger because the people saw how it was transforming, um, the how it transformed the person they called a friend, and how it transformed them as well. So that when it says to die for your friends is the greatest honor, it assumes that you also have friends, and those friends were inspired by your example. And if someone has to kill you to control whatever it is that you're doing, your message, then your friends are going to back you up, and they'll see you as honorable. You see, the thing is that we've taken that to mean soldiers that are fighting for the freedom of others, you know. And the thing about it is that to control to kill people, to control others, is um, is against God's will, because God wills everyone free will. And if you, yeah, so God demands everybody give everybody free will, so long as it doesn't impede on you, it's okay. But if it comes to the point to where you have no capacity to run away, if they force you into a position and they kill you, you're a martyr. Okay, it's okay. You're going to go to heaven, right? And so there's no point in fighting. You just back down, and if they kill you, they kill you. The strength will be in the way you deal with that. And so the thing is, it's so stupid, is that governments would use that verse, and they don't give a damn about the rest of it. They just use that one verse because they know people respect it. They know they respect that word, but they will give you one verse, taken out of context, or they'll just take one verse and they'll use that to justify evil. You know, just as Putin used that verse to justify his war with Ukraine. And he lied to his own people, and then you just go and see what he did to the Ukrainians, and what the Ukrainians were more just with Russia's POWs, but Russia will not even let anyone know where they're detaining all of their POWs from Ukraine, because they have no power. Their power is only in their violence, and it's maintained by a very weak person at the helm, who just doesn't. The, the, the only reason why he's in power is it's a selfish reason. He doesn't want to be killed. And so he's got to have so much power. He must have control of everybody around him. He's got to have lots and lots of security. And then he's got to make everybody fear him, you know, because that's the only way he's going to be able to maintain being alive. And if you didn't have such figures that were such, you know, such tyrants, if you didn't have such tyrants, then you wouldn't realize what is bad about this world. What is bad in the world. You wouldn't know how to know the difference between good and bad. There will be ultimate evil, and that is when people are selfish to the point to where they're willing to spare their own life, to kill everybody else in order to spare their own life. That's the complete opposite of honor. They're not sacrificing their life for their friends. They're sacrificing their friends for their life. Okay? And so for Putin to say something like that to justify a war with Ukraine is totally ironic, because Putin doesn't even respect that verse. Putin is not going to die for Russia. Russia's going to die for Putin, because that's the way he's maintaining his power, is by lying to everybody, by keeping this big old bubble around him, to sealing him off from being attacked or said anything about. It's the only way he is able to exist in this world, because otherwise he'd be killed off, and the next person down from him who's jealous of his position will fall into the same seat, and it'll just keep persisting until you get rid of all of those idiots that want the power to control the world. See, Jesus didn't want to control the world. He didn't want to be ruler of this world, because he could see that we all well, the thing is that if you long to have the only reason why you would long to have control of the world is because you're fearful of your survival. You're worried about the future, and the only way that you can keep yourself safe and secure and all that stuff is by is by having some sort of control over somebody or over something. The desire to have control over the metaphysical is in the idea that your prayers are not to keep you from harm, but your prayers would be to have some control over the metaphysical, over over God. God makes God's own decisions about what to do. Your prayers are only requests. They don't mean that they're going to get answered in the way that you want them to. Um, they're so you're you know. So I gotta stop this. If I don't, then it's not gonna go. It's not gonna upload. But you get what I'm saying, right?